No, you sit wherever you want, Yules. Yeah. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. We're fortunate to be joined by some of the state's largest advocates for Connecticut manufacturing. We've got Senator Blumenthal, Congressman Larson, Paul Lavoie, the country's only chief manufacturing officer, and Allison Carey Lynch here. I'm Brian Montanari, President and CEO of HABCO Industries. We're an aerospace manufacturer with 2 facilities here in the state. Our biggest customers are the U.S. DoD, Pratt & Whitney, Sikorsky, and General Electric. I know, Paul, you like to talk about how nobody can fly without the state of Connecticut. We feel the same way about HABCO. Very rarely can you look in the sky and see an aircraft that doesn't have some content or some support from HABCO, and whether that's fixed wing, rotary wing, commercial, or military application. I've been involved with Constep for over 20 years. Constep is Connecticut's manufacturing extension partnership, one of the MEPs. Receives its funding from the Department of Commerce, which is a program that was recently cut in 10 different states. My involvement with Constep over the years has been both as a client and as a board member. I served on the board for 10 years under Bonnie Del Conte, and now have a great relationship with Bea and her team. Constep's impact is measurable and impactful. Constep's focus is on helping streamline companies' operations, help increasing sales, and help creating jobs. Just last year in 2024, Constep helped its clients secure over $220 million in new sales in support of over 1,000 manufacturing jobs in the state. Constep is also one of the country's top MEPs, often benchmarked by many other states. In addition to my role at HABCO, I also serve on the board of CBIA. I'm the vice chair of the board of CBIA, and we're also very involved with CCAT. I know you're a big fan of Ron Angelo and what his team is doing there. And when I look at HABCO, I look at Constep, CBIA, the Office of Manufacturing, CCAT. We all have a shared vision. We all have a shared mission. And it's about how do we make Connecticut a better state for manufacturers, their employees, and their employees' families, and how do we make it a state that we can all thrive in. This isn't about one program in particular, but it's about protecting the ecosystem. It's about making sure that manufacturing is on the forefront, not just at a state level, but also at a federal level. And that's why we're big supporters of Constep and with the ecosystems here in the state. So with that, I'm going to introduce Allison Carey Lynch, another strong advocate of Connecticut manufacturing.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. I'd like to share my experience with Constep, but first I want to give you some background on the company. Carey Manufacturing is a small family-owned business in Cromwell, Connecticut. We manufacture small metal components such as catches, handles, and other fasteners that are used in larger assemblies. We supply parts across industries, including defense, aerospace, transportation, medical, and technology, as well as commercial. Our parts are used for things like cases, cabinets, farm equipment, and many aerospace and military applications, most of which we aren't privy to. I like to say that we make the parts that hold the world together. Carey Manufacturing was established in 1981 by my parents, Jack and Lori Carey. Over the last 44 years, we've grown from a garage to a 30,000 square foot facility that employs 43 people, many of whom have been with us for over 30 years. Often running a small business can feel like you're operating without a safety net. As the business grows, we face many challenges that we don't have the resources to tackle alone. Constep is who we call when we need that guidance. I've been working with Constep for many years, both as a member of the board of directors and as a client. We participated in many programs that Constep offers. Recently, we had an employee graduate from the supervisor's boot camp, where she was given the tools to move into a leadership position. We're also taking advantage of their cybersecurity program, which is helping us prepare for the upcoming cybersecurity certification, without which we risk losing defense and aerospace business. Constep has also helped me personally. A number of years ago, I was asked to take over as quality manager. It's a job I had no idea how to do, and no one in the building had the experience to train me. So I enrolled in the Quality Essentials program, which is a 5-week course that gave me the tools I needed to do my job. The program helped us maintain the quality certifications that are critical to our business. Our story is not unique. There are over 4,000 manufacturers across the state just like us. Losing Constep as a resource would hinder the growth of the manufacturing community. Whether it's training, technology, workforce development, or business growth, they have the tools we need to help Connecticut manufacturing continue to grow and thrive. Small and medium manufacturers across the state count on Constep to be our trusted advisor. The cuts Constep and other MEP centers face are detrimental to manufacturing across the country. During fiscal year 2024, the MEP National Network helped manufacturers achieve $15 billion in new and retained sales, $5 billion in new client investment, $2.6 billion in cost savings, and over 108,000 jobs were either retained or created. The services that the MEP program provides to the manufacturing community are vital to the success of American manufacturing. Next up, I'd like to invite up our Chief Manufacturing Officer, Paul Lavoie.
Thank you, Allison. I don't know if you guys caught that look when she said she was given the role of quality. She looked over to me because I'm the one who gave her that job. So, but she's flourished in that role. You know, what's really interesting about what Brian and what Allison both said is that I think when we think of manufacturing, you know, we think of the big names. You know, we think of the Pratt & Whitneys and the electric boats and all of that. And, you know, those companies are important. You know, you think of Ford and General Motors, and you start to think of these large companies. And those companies are certainly important, but they have resources. And they have resources that are available to them to help them solve problems. But that is not American manufacturing. American manufacturing is the small to medium-sized manufacturer who is in that company's supply chain, who's providing critical parts to those companies and doing it all across America. I'll just give you an idea of Connecticut and Connecticut statistics. Roughly 160,000 people that work in Connecticut manufacturers, roughly 4,500 manufacturers. But if you take the top 25 companies in Connecticut, they employ 60,000 people. That means there's 100,000 people working in 4,475 manufacturers, which puts the average around 23 to 24 employees. And how does that company, when they're stuck, find an answer? And that's where the manufacturing extension partnerships play such a vital role. And by the way, there are millions. This scenario is played out all over America. And so in Connecticut, Constep is a critical partner of the Office of Manufacturing as we look to execute Connecticut's manufacturing strategic plan, which is develop talent, build sustainable companies, and drive innovation. And I can't think of a project in any one of those areas where Constep doesn't have some kind of involvement in ensuring that our manufacturing companies get the support that they need. If we truly want to bring manufacturing back to the United States, if we truly want to reshore and strengthen the manufacturing sector, it comes from the bottom up. It's got to come from the smallest manufacturer to the largest manufacturer, and the MEP is there to support that network. None better than done in Constep here in the state of Connecticut. They're the Office of Manufacturing Partners on several initiatives. Every federal grant that we get has Constep written into it. Our Connex Marketplace Supply Chain Program, they are the sole company that we fund to do the Connex Marketplace Program, and so many other programs that are here to support the small to medium-sized manufacturers. So it is incredibly short-sighted to not fund the NIST MEPs and to not consider that, because it really wipes out the foundation of American manufacturing. And it's that very foundation we should be continuing to build upon. Now, in Connecticut, we're lucky. We're incredibly fortunate because not only do we have the support of our state legislation, but we also have fierce support of our federal legislation as it relates to manufacturing. So I get to introduce one of those most fierce supporters. I quote him all the time and uses things like, "We never won a fair fight, we're the arsenal of democracy," and all those other issues. So you know who I'm talking about. So Senator Richard Blumenthal, thank you.
Thank you to Paul, thank you Allison, Brian. I'm really proud to be back at HABCO, which is at the forefront of American manufacturing. Allison, that is such a powerful story about starting in a garage and growing from there. And I'm grateful to be introduced by Paul, who is all around the state in manufacturers, big and small. We've been together, many of them, and of course my great friend and colleague, John Larson. No one is a fiercer advocate for Connecticut manufacturing than John Larson, especially when he puts his head down and goes forward. We're here today because a great program that is helping more than 600 businesses all around the state of Connecticut, like the two you've just heard about is about to be ended, literally eliminated, zeroed out. The Manufacturer Extension Partnership, known as MEP, helps those small and medium-sized businesses with finding new technology, implementing better management, hiring more workers and training them. All of the nuts and bolts of manufacturing can be improved and are every day improved by the MEP, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. It is one of the most effective programs no one has ever heard of. It's funded by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, known as NIST, in the Department of Commerce. Here's what you should know about the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. For a total of $179 million nationwide, tens of thousands of businesses are given a better start, are sustained more effectively and efficiently. This program is a force multiplier, and it is about to be extinguished by unnamed federal tech bros under the leadership, a term I use advisedly, of Elon Musk. Now, NIST is zeroing out a program, $179 million. I know it sounds like a lot, but in a multi-trillion-dollar budget to foster American manufacturing that everybody says they want to expand makes no sense. In Connecticut, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership costs about $2 million. It's a force multiplier. It enables HABCO and other businesses, small, medium-sized businesses, to do what they can't do individually, to do it together. In other words, to pool the knowledge and the expertise, the management experience and know-how through the kind of aid that is provided. And it is a success story that is about to be strangled by unnamed federal arbiters of success who say, we want to do more for quantum and AI. They think they are ahead of the curve. They are actually retarding or reducing the curve. And that is a grave mistake for America, for manufacturing, at a time when we need this kind of program more than ever. The tariffs that have been imposed are a nightmare. They are haphazard and chaotic. More than ever before, we need the kind of insight expertise that the Manufacturing Extension Partnership provides. But even if you take the goal of the tariffs, which is to bring back manufacturing to this country, even if the tariffs were imposed rationally and effectively with the goal of improving manufacturing in this country, you would want exactly this kind of program to help manufacturers grow here. Make it in America. Manufacturing Extension Partnership. It's a program for America, about American manufacturing, proven success, and the federal government is about to suffocate it. Makes no sense. That's why we're going to go back to Washington. We're going to fight to retain this program. I hope that Congress as a whole will heed our message, which is come to Connecticut, see how it has worked for these great entrepreneurs and business managers who produce stuff the nation needs. They produce devices and equipment that is necessary for our national health and our national defense. And we lose a lot if we sacrifice this program. And no one is a more effective advocate, I mean very seriously, than John Larson, who is always there for Connecticut and Connecticut manufacturing. John?
Thank you, Senator. There's really not much left to say after we went through that, but there is a lot to do. And I think that's the thing about the Connecticut delegation, led by our two United States senators, and especially Senator Blumenthal, and the deaness of the delegation, Rosa DeLauro. We work well together, and for a small state, we're able to have quite an impact. This is especially important, and Brian and Allison, Paul, and Beatrice, thank you all for being here. You get it. Manufacturing is value added, and everybody who has a semblance of knowledge, even Mike Polo, appreciates the fact that what manufacturing does and what it means in terms of job creation and what it means in terms of the creation of wealth and how that serves communities, states, and this incredible nation that we belong to. And what's really disturbing here, as the senator alluded to, is that why this cut? Why this policy? What thought is behind this? Here's the thought. Donald Trump said to Elon Musk, I need to find $2 trillion in cuts. And so I want you to go out to the agencies and imagine a person who's not been confirmed by the Senate, is not a cabinet officer. He's not even a volunteer, all of whom who would have to disclose their own financial interests. You all know he's the wealthiest man in the world with over $500 billion. God bless him. I'm sure he's smart. I'm sure he's worked hard, etc. But to totally disregard and just look at a number or a figure and then say, this is what we need to get out of this agency, is not the way to run a government and has nothing to do with the value-added nature of manufacturing and what it means. So it's not only going to take a delegation standing up, it's actually going to take you. It's actually business people, people who actually understand, as you so well articulated, the impact of small manufacturers, not just the Pratt Whitney aircrafts and the Sikorskys and the electric boat, etc., but it's the small manufacturer, and it's the job creation that comes from that, and what that does throughout all 169 towns in Connecticut, and frankly, all across our nation. So we stand together as a delegation and remain united. And yes, we will be putting pressure on the administration because red states are experiencing the same thing that blue states are experiencing. And when you take a number and arbitrarily say, this is how we're going to reach that goal by cutting these programs without the knowledge of the impact or the value added that that brings, is not good government. In fact, it's bad government. In fact, it's not good business either, and all of you understand that. And that's the message we have to get back to this non-elected, non-approved group. They call themselves, they say Doge, I call it Dodge. They dodge all responsibility that they have to the country because they've been instructed to find a number instead of working together to pull in. Yes, we have to address these issues, long-term and short-term, but we should do it in a way that we apply intelligence and what's value added and what is not. And there's no question about the fact that small businesses are value added. So we stand with you. I want to thank the Senator again for his leadership, along with Senator Murphy and the whole Connecticut delegation.